Hey there, Wendy here with Jazzydoodledesigns, and today we're going to do part 3 of our gel crayon series. Now, this is where we talk about more of our Bougie sets. We're going to talk about distress crayons, the Lyra, the Gelatos, and the Neocolor IIs. So we're going to be looking at each one of those. So let's get started. Before we get started, I just want to let you know my mom recently went into hospice and moved into my house. So things have been very up and down, very busy in my world. So keep that in mind that this video was done mostly prior to that. And it was all discombobulated. So if my segues seem a little off, that's why. If you're interested, I will have a full update video for those that have asked about her. And thank you for watching me, and I appreciate your grace. Okay, first up is Lyra. They're a brand out of Germany. It says Lyra Aquacolor High Quality. It's a 48-piece set. Okay, on the back they do have the color palette. Now I took the sleeve off because I cut my finger yesterday and it's very tender, so I'm less coordinated than usual, which is saying something. But it comes in a nice silver tin and you pop it open and this is what we have. Okay, let's talk about price. If you buy the 12 count, they're $1.37 a crayon. If you buy the 24, they're $1.19 a crayon. And if you buy the 48, they're $1.26 a crayon. So I find it a little annoying that if I buy 24, I pay less than if I buy the 48. That's just a personal annoyance. Okay, but let's take a look at the palette. So here is our palette. I actually think it is a pretty nice palette. I love that it has a flesh. I love that we've got a few grays. There are a few more red, orange, ochres than are necessary, in my opinion. But I love browns that are like this, so I was happy to see the 3, even bumping into the 4th. I think the browns are phenomenal. So I do love that we can stair-step our colors a little bit. So I give them a lot of credit for that. All right, so let's take a look now at one of these crayons. Let's go ahead and we're going to pull out the blue. We'll pull out a pink. We'll pull out we're going with a little bit brighter one, so I don't want to go too wimpy yellow. And then the white. Okay. So here on our crayon, it says Lyra Aquacolor Aquarelle. There is a number. It's got the company name and contact information and a barcode. And over here, written in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different languages is the color. So this one is true blue. Okay. The crayons themselves are 3.5 inches by 3/8 of an inch. Okay, and they do come kind of pre-sharpened with a flat top. So let's grab our test sheet and we'll dive in. Okay, so let's get started. I think we did it this way the last time. Very smooth lay down. Now, don't get me wrong, it's hard like a crayon but they're smooth. Like it doesn't, like it doesn't bog down or anything on each other. We get very, very little movement at all. Okay, so let's try that again. And we'll see if we can get some movement with water. Now the one thing I will caution you with all of these, double check that your pencils don't have any other color on them if you're working on a page. Okay. So we got good movement there, and we got a really nice color. And we got good movement there, and a very nice color. Okay. So let's see how well they dissolve on their own. So we're gonna just put this one down, and then this one I'm really gonna push down hard. Okay. So dissolving on their own, I felt like they did a really good job. We got no harsh lines. We did get a little crumb there. And I did bear down pretty good on this one. And you can see no hard lines. So they do dissolve very, very well. Let's try our layer technique. So we'll put the dark down and then the light. I'm going to wipe that off. We'll go light here and then dark over light. Okay. Let's get our water going. That's interesting. I feel like they dissolve, but not... Now this one definitely created a whole different color, but do you see the box? I can't wait to see if Neocolors do this. I feel like I've went over them and not had that happen, but maybe I'm just doing something different. I'm not sure. All right, let's try our lift technique. And this one we're going to dissolve it and then see if we can lift. All right. And get a baby. Oh, there we go. Got one here. Okay, we definitely got lift, but maybe it was my technique, but I feel like it isn't as crisp as some of those other ones. Let me try something. Just not quite as crisp. Not a huge deal at all. These are dry, so let's grab our polychromos and our Prisma. So here's our Prisma. Worked beautifully. Polychromos just does not perform as well. Right? It just, you can see that you just get, I mean, I'm actually pushing a little bit harder with the polychromos, just trying to give it a little extra edge. and it just struggles a little bit. But it, you know, take that for what it is. Okay? Maybe it's because polychromos are more translucent. Are you all screaming at home at me that? Possibly. But it's just an awareness. It doesn't necessarily mean, when I tell you things, I'm not always saying, oh, this is bad. I'm just, you know, if you're looking for something transparent, then opacity is bad, right? If you're looking for something opaque, then opacity is good. So it's all in what you're looking for. I will say, look at this white. These are very opaque on black. Probably the most opaque that I have seen thus far. Did I sound really smart there when I said thus far? Because I felt smart. Let me know in the comments. Okay, next up is distress crayons. Before we talk about them, the Lyra are not open stock. So far, the King's Art says that there are 15 that are open stock. Otherwise, everything up until now, we could not get open stock. All right, so Distress Ink. Distress Ink is done by Ranger and Tim Holtz. They're kind of, you know, it's hard to tell what's Ranger and what's Tim Holtz. I don't really care. But he is the designer of Distress. Now, the Distress line has your Distress ink, oxides, crayons, watercolors. They used to have markers, but I think they discontinued those. And I can see why, because a lot of mine went dry. From lack of use, probably. But still. So there's a lot of different, there's sprays and all kinds of stuff. I have many of these lines. I started using the Distress line of products years ago when it started coming out, so I've collected them all because each year a few colors come out, right? So I have been doing that for quite some time. You can see some of these are marked with Hobby Lobby $12.99. This is back when they had the 40% off coupon, which, y'all, where did they go with that? Like, that drew me to, I swear, I don't know how they didn't lose money, because I would go for the coupon, and you know, you always have to buy more stuff. It's not like you ever just bought your coupon stuff. Okay, but I digress. There are 64 different distress colors in the crayons. Now I have, what, 6 times 8, so I have 48 of the 64. I don't know if I will get the others. I may or may not. A lot of that is happenstance. If I really start using these for coloring, then maybe I will. I have always liked the Distress line. But, like I said, they were running $12.99 with the 40% off coupon. Now you can't do that anymore, and they run about that online. You buy these in these little 6-packs, or you can buy them individually. Now, I did see on Amazon where you can buy a whole bundle of the different ones. Like, there's 10 sets that you can buy all at once. All right, so if we're paying, let's just say $12 for a pack, then we're running it at about $1.62 per marker, per crayon, right? So let's, the other thing that I will tell you is the colors are actually pretty similar across all the lines. They all have a, like, squeezed lemonade. There's a squeezed lemonade in all the other different types. Now, sometimes due to the medium itself, it will look a little different. For example, oxides are opaque, so they're going to have a pigment in them, and their inks are translucent because they're a dye. So sometimes the same color will look different based on its substance. Does that make sense? Look what I just found. I found another set over here on the side. So I actually have 48 plus 6, so I have 50 of the 64 colors. But anyway, I'm going to grab this yellow. We'll grab picked raspberry, and let's grab broken china. Okay. I don't have picket fence, which is the white. Oh, yes, I do. There it is. I guess I do have it. So they do have a white one as well. They have black. I have no idea which ones I'm missing. A lot of the newer ones, probably like the, what is it, Shadow Smoke or something, and Lumberjack Plaid and that kind of stuff. Some of the newer colors I probably don't have in the crayon. All right, so let's get started. We talked about price, so let's look at the crayon itself. So like a lot of the other ones, this is one of those twist up ones, right? And I do like that it has like the hanging on thing, if that's important to you. I don't really care. It says Distress Crayon, Broken China, adult use only, keep out of the reach of children, non-toxic, made in China, TDB 51961. Okay? Now, I only go by names. I know Distress only by names. They've never really used a number. Okay. So, now, at first squish, right, these are softer than the Lyra. In fact, I think that these are one of the softer ones that weren't the big gel sticks, right? Some of those gel sticks were pretty, what I call mushy. This pink's a little firmer. Okay, let's give these a go. These definitely move more than the Lyra. Nothing that we've really tested so far, to me, is a really good smusher. So let's do our blend with water. I feel like Ranger is a very reputable brand. I've always had good luck with them. Outside of the markers, which a lot of those did kind of dry up relatively quickly. We're getting a nice blend there. We're getting a decent blend there. I mean, it's not super orangey. I think the pink kind of overpowers a little bit. I'm going to push pretty hard like I did before. You can see that's really a thick layer. And then we'll just do a normal layer. There is a big difference between the pink and the blue in terms of how quickly they lay down, or how smushy, whatever you want to say. I feel like they do a really good job of blending out. Let's see how it does with our really thick layer here. I pushed really hard. But you can see it did not leave, those are brush stroke marks, not like marks from the crayon itself. So let's try, we're going to go pink here, yellow here. Yellow is considerably softer than this pink. This pink just seems to be unusually firm. It's been a while since I've used these. It looks like they have a hard time kind of going on top, or at least this pink one does. I felt like the pink went over the yellow well, or the yellow went over the pink well, but the pink didn't go over the yellow well. Now that made a nice orange. And you can see a little bit of it in the background. Now, like all the other ones, look, this definitely left that square. Wonder if it has something to do with yellow? I don't know. I use this blue. Okay. Got me a new baby wipe. I feel like it lifted well. Let's try this now that this is dry over here on the Lyra. We did not get any lift once it was activated. We'll let that one dry. All right. Prismacolor. Make sure those are dry. All right, so here's our Prismacolor. Oh my goodness. Colored pencil did not go over We'll have to let that really dry just to make sure. Like all of them, I feel like Prisma did better, but so far this has been the worst one for, you know, the pencil going over it. I don't know that I tested it going unactivated, so we'll do that now. Let's try it here. I feel like it went over the unactivated just fine. So maybe, no, that feels dry to me. Yeah, it just, maybe it wasn't completely dry. We're going to give this one a few minutes and we'll try this. So it may be that we just need to let it dry more. That could have just been, I know, I'm going to shock you with this, but could have been operator error. Okay, there's the blue. Look how opaque these are. Even the yellow. Clean off my pink there. I wonder if that pink had the lid off a little bit or something. Look at how opaque these are. That is crazy to me. They're very, very opaque. So you can get these open stock. One of the things we didn't try with our other ones is working on a palette. I will definitely show it in my technique video. So, apologies. I feel like they're all going to work fine on a palette. Right? Just mixing color and painting it on. That is the one way you're going to get kind of some consistency. The one thing that I will tell you, make more than you think you'll need. So if I was to do a really big area, what I wouldn't want to do is now have to go back and try and recreate this color, right? Because we're going to start getting variances. Because if I go in now, what if I end up putting more blue this time than yellow? I'm going to end up with a different color. And see how you'll end up with a different color? Now, the good news is you can just keep mixing until you get the color that you want, and that's a great thing. But just always make more than you think you'll need, or be very precise in your laydown so that you get more consistent color. Okay? All right. Okay, I'm going to test this one more time. I will also tell you that you can get the colors directly from Ranger for $2.50 each. Blick sells them individually. Amazon sells them individually. You just got to kind of worry about your shipping cost. But I really like that if you have colors, like maybe you use a lot of white, then you don't have to buy that whole 6-pack of colors, right? A lot of these I've had for a really long time, and then others not so long. So it just depends. But you can tell that they didn't dry up and not work. So I do want to point that out. They can also be used with each other. So they're really good at layering. You can layer the inks or the oxides over these or under them. So that's another thing to note. Okay, so let's look at the palette and make a correction. So originally I said there were 64 colors. There's actually 76, so I must have been looking at an old website. These are the ones that I have. Now, the Distress comes in a lot of different ones. Here are Distress alcohol inks, the Distress ink pads, and the Distress oxides. And I want you to look at the color palette. It is like, let's narrow it down. Do these look pretty dang similar? Yes, they do. Because if you look, you will see that they're all very similar colors. Now what happens is in the Distress ink, they're going to be a little more transparent. So they're going to look a little more vibrant, a little brighter. But you can see this is the same color here, right? And if I go here, look how similar everything is. Okay? Here's those same colors, right? Here is the Tattered Rose. Here's Blueprint Sketch down here. 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 You can see that they're all very similar. And I really love the consistency across the line. I think they did a phenomenal job. I absolutely love playing with their products. I don't have trouble with them drying out. I don't have trouble with, I haven't really had to do any sort of customer service, but I haven't needed to, and that's the point. Like, I feel like they do a really good job. So keep that in mind. You know, if you're looking for something that transcends all of the different things, because what I like then is I can use, let's say I want to use these in the background, but then I want to paint with the pads or vice versa. You can do that all on a page, and you know that your page is going to be cohesive. Now, I really started doing this more when I was doing mixed media, but I just thought I would point that out while we're talking about palette. So essentially, this is going to be the palette, right? When I fill this all out. So I really like the palette. I feel like they do a good job. The colors aren't that just the typical vibrant. Let's talk about Gelatos. This little set I got, I believe, like at a thrift store or something. I've had them forever. And they come in a little box, and I've lost the top, but it comes with a little paintbrush. The next set I got was this set. It's the mix and match set. It's one of what they call the gift set. This is what, I believe it's the same as their classic set now. But it just pulls out of this box. Okay. And you get this little technique book where it talks about different things you can do with them. Now, what's interesting is some of these are metallic. So like this one is, oh, the name's on the lids on these. Metallic blueberry. Okay. But then over here, this one is just blueberry. Okay. And then this one does not have a name. That's interesting. So no name for this one. This one says lavender. Oh, I see what it is. There's a little sticker, and my sticker must have come off. So that one is... that one is guava. Okay. So that's the bad thing, is that the name is on a sticker on the lid. So if you lose the lid, or lose the sticker, I mean. But anyway, so this one is kind of a mix of some metallics and the more classic colors. Comes with these tortillons, tortons, I don't know. And then this water brush that has kind of a, it kind of is like the Arteza with the push there. And it just says water brush. So that is kind of nice that it gives you that. And I really like that this is a heavy duty box with a heavy duty insert, right? And then it goes into this slide. This is what you get if you order them in today's market. It comes in acetate, plastic, and this is their Dolce gift set 2, okay? And it's called Dolce. But anyway, it comes with 3 little stamps, and then a palette knife, and this paintbrush, which is kind of cool. It's a triangle paintbrush, so it's very bougie. You get a bougie brush. Okay, and then you get some variants here. So you get some metallics, and then you get some, this is called iridescent, and then you get, this is iridescent, metallic, and then this is pastels, and then you get some brights. So it's kind of a mix of a lot of different metallics, pastels. So let's take a look at the palettes. So this was the original one I showed you in the box. And you've got all of these colors. Now, the ones that have ice or metallic are obviously the kind of the shimmery ones, more of a metallic kind of thing. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 metallics in this set. Okay? And then in this set, you get some brights, you get some pastels, and then you get this galaxy. See how it's kind of like a color shift to gold? And then these are just, they say iced. Those are just kind of the metallic with the same color. Okay. So I think there's 2 iridescent, and then the rest are just, you know, whatever the color is. But they are very pretty, and like this metal icing, metallic icing, look how pretty that would be like for snow, right? So it is kind of an interesting mix. I wish I would have laid out my swatch sheet a little different. I think I just pulled them out however they came. I want to show you what I got for, let me zoom out. Okay, so, I was at Michael's, and these are 50% off. So it's just a basket with handles. But these little bags, right, were $2.99, buy one, get one half off. So it was $2.99 for one and $1.50 for the others. So right now, I have all those distress crayons in here, and I haven't quite decided. Right now I have them still in the packaging. I may take them out. I'll probably number them like I do all of my stuff, because I'm crazy like that. This one is going to be for the gelatos. I think what I'm going to do is just dump them all in there so that I don't have all the packaging. But I have my Lyra, the shuttle, and the shuttle arts. I took some dollar store plastic cutting boards, and you get those 2 for $1.25. I had some remnants because I'm going to show you what I did with my Copic or my Ohuhu markers in another video. But anyway, I taped this piece of plastic in there to give it some stability. So that, remember how the shuttle art was like bowing and being a pain? So that's what I did there, is I just put a piece of that cutting board, and I only had remnants, so I had to tape it together, but it works just fine. And there's my Mr. Pens, there's the highlighters, and I think I'm going to keep all of my gel crayons in here, because I even think my Neocolors will also go in there, right? And then I'm going to have all of my gel crayons in a nice, neat, and tidy little bin, okay? So that's how I'm storing all of these. Sorry that I'm so close up, but, you know, it's just a basket with handles. And they were half off right now. So it was $12.50. Yeah, because it was 25 bucks. So it was, $12.50. Trust me, I did the math. But I just thought I would share that since we're doing this video. One thing I forgot to point out when we were looking at the originals is they too have metallics. So there are a few here, and when you pull them out, they're on the lid and it says metallic blueberry. Okay, so here we have blueberry, and then down here we have metallic blueberry. So I'm going to pull those two, and let's just see if they match each other. Okay, so first off, let's do our little blueberry test up here. These are a nice creamy consistency. I would say they're a little firmer than the Distress ink. Not as firm as the Lyra. Okay, so we'll twist this up just a little. There is a difference. Definitely a difference between the two. Once again, It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of. So the yellow is pretty crummy. The pink is pretty crummy. Are these old gelatos? Yes. So, are we gonna hold it against them? I may pull out those newer ones and see if we see any difference. These smudge a little better together. They have a little more movement. Okay. The other thing I'll note is these newer ones have the name on the side, right? Oh. And then this one's an iridescent. Okay. I just wanted to see if these might feel slightly creamier, but not bad. So if these are like really old and they're working this well, like kudos to them. We'll try not to should I have done that? No, that's not good testing protocol, Wendy. Okay, let's see how they blend. I think they blend pretty well, but they definitely leave, you can see the circle marks from the original color. So let me see if I can blend this blue out. I see the circle mark, right? So I'm not going to push hard on this one because I want to give it a fair chance, because I was kind of, I was impatient. Shocking. Okay, so if you leave them, it looks like you have a little more likelihood of getting a line. Well, that's one way to mix them. I don't think that they dissolve as easily. Let's see. Not easily, as completely. So some of these dissolve better than others. This is not me ripping on gelato. I'm just pointing out what I see. Okay. Should I have... Did I make a mess there? Yes. All right. So we're going to try and pick up all those. These are really crummier, which is kind of frustrating to me. All right. So we're going to try and write on it. Polychromos did great. Prisma did great. Let's try lifting. I think they lifted just fine. Okay. Give that just a little more time to dry. Let's do our opacity down here. They're not as opaque. I mean, they're decent. All right, and the white. The white is actually pretty opaque. Those are still kind of wet. All right. So the one thing I will say about gelatos is there's a lot of different, there's ones called a double scoop that are wider, right? They're like fatter, and so they have a lot more product. Like I said, they have the iridescents, the brights, the pastels, the metallic, some, so that you can have some that are more translucent and some that are more opaque. Oh, you know what? We didn't try it. We didn't try this test. Let's do it down here. So here, we'll do the pink with yellow over it. And here, I'm going to do the yellow with the pink over it. So pink with yellow over it. You can still see the pink square, and I didn't really get much in the way of orange. This pink really is very strong. You can see even with the majority of that being yellow, you get the yellow box and then maybe like a coral kind of color, which tells me that the strength of this pink is so much stronger than the yellow. And that's good to know in your crayons, because if you mix them 50-50, 50% of each should get the same thing. Like you should get half, you would like to get halfway between pink and yellow. You want to get a nice orange. But if your pink is a lot stronger, you're going to get a lot more of that coral color. And if your yellow's a lot stronger, you're going to get more of a, like an apricot kind of color. Okay, so now we've dried. We're going to write, definitely Polychromos does not work as well as Prisma. It universally so far. It's probably due to it being a more translucent pencil. Okay, so this is not me saying that there's something wrong with Polychromos color pencils. Absolutely, there is not. I'm just saying that if you're doing this and you want a hard like shade on something, right? Do you want it to be more opaque? Maybe you like the translucency because maybe you just want to shade this blue, right? And so you're going to come in with your pencil here, and so you're going to get a lot more subtle shading than if you go in with the same pressure. I'm getting a darker line. So it's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. Okay? Okay, so now the moment of truth. Look at the cute little dog case. This is how I keep my Neocolor IIs. Ellie chose this case. Just kidding. Okay, so like all of my mediums, I number them. Now you can see by the shape that they're in, by the, like look here, here's a newer one, right? See how nice this is compared to some of these other colors that I've had for a lot longer. I've tried various storage systems. I like being able to just go directly to what I like. I'm not a big hunt and pick. So that's why I haven't quite decided on the gelatos, if I'm going to dump them in there or not. I may number them, which will make it a little easier. But this is how I keep my Neocolor IIs. I do have one extra here. But as you can see, guys, I've had some of these for literally 20 some odd years. And you can see that even though they're used, they're just not, you know, look how much stick I still have. This one broke, so I just taped it. And it's working just fine. Yeah, so I mean, this is something that you invest in once. And unless you are using them for either really large projects or using the same one every single time, they're going to last forever. The exception to this is the metallic silver. Do you see how crumbly this is? I think I'm just even going to take it out of my case because it's making a mess. For some reason, those have dried up and crumbled. I think it was gold and silver. And I don't have the gold anymore because I got rid of it. But I think I'm going to get rid of this one too because it's making a mess. But other than, and I've had that, like I said, forever. So I don't know if they've changed the formula or not. You know, like I said, 20 plus years. I'm okay replacing it. Every one of these is open stock. So that is a really nice thing. So let's grab a couple colors. I think I'm going to use this one. This one is light blue. And it does have the number here. It says Neocolor II, water soluble wax pastel. The name, which is in 3 different, like I think it's German and maybe Swiss French or just French. I'm not sure. And but they do have the number, and then they have a light fast rating on them as well. Okay, like the Lyras, they have this little, I'll pull it off of this one because of course I will. Yeah, so there's that. Like I said, some of these are really, really old. So I am going to do that off camera. Okay, let's grab a yellow too. We'll get light blue, lemon yellow, and this is purple. I'm going to go with it though. And we'll get our white. Okay. Okay, let's look at the palette. Now, my apologies. Mine has the 12 colors that I own that have since been discontinued. I did put a star by them, so I try not to use those when I do color-alongs and such. So keep that in mind. But you can see it's just a beautiful palette. It's got a lot of bright and sunny colors, but then it's got some muted and some nice landscapey ochre type of colors too. So I feel like it's a really good palette. So I pulled out these 4 and we will take a look at them. Now these are beautiful to work with. They're like a soft crayon. They go down very nicely. You don't really have to sharpen them to use them unless you need them to get into a very small area, which what I do is use a brush. Now, in my experience, these don't move much. Yeah, so about the same as all the other ones. The lipsticky ones, I think, move the best, but these crayon ones really don't do a lot of moving. Okay, now I'm going to use this pink, and we're going to really bear down and just see how we do. But look at how lovely that just dissolves so easily. And here too, not a single line. And I push down pretty dang hard. Now, one thing, I don't know what I was going to say. What was I testing here? Oh, blending. I was like, I skipped ahead a step, confused myself. It's so easily done. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll blend these out. Now, when you go from one color to the other with these, you do need to kind of wipe it off or you will overcome it. But look how lovely they blend. Okay. Oh yeah, we try pink. I'm gonna have to pull my little shade, or the paper down a little bit. And then we're gonna go over it with the yellow. And then yellow. And we'll go over it with pink. It'll be interesting. Did you see that I grabbed and I used this in where it had a really pointy edge to it? Let's see if we can dissolve that. Get a little water going. You see a little bit of that pink square. I don't think as much, but you definitely still see it. And a little bit here too. So somehow these just kind of trap that color underneath it a little bit. So that's really good to know. I guess I just don't use these the same way. I do feel like we did get some decent color there. Okay, so off camera, I pulled off a little piece of the wrapper here. One thing I will point out that I'm not a big fan of is, so here's where it said purple. One more little, and it's gone. Why don't they put it down here? Now, I don't care because I have my number and that's how I'm going to find it. I'm going to literally look at my sheet and say, yeah, this is the one that I want right there. That one. And, you know, that'll be how I do it. But still. Okay, so we'll lay some down. Get our stencil. And we did get some lifting. There's definitely some staining with that color. Let's activate this one. I really like, though, that it just, look at how beautifully that dissolves. Do you see how right here, even though these dissolve nicely, you still have some remnants in all of these? This, to me, looks like it was done with the palette. Crazy. All right, we're going to let that dry. Let's check our opacity. It's pink, blue, wow, yellow, and white. So definitely we got some opacity here. As far as working off of a palette, we can definitely do that. These are very pigmented. And this is how I would go in and get your really small areas, right? Is with this. But look at that beautiful color. It really is quite beautiful. Okay, so that is the Neocolor IIs as far as, oh, okay. And then our Prismacolor. It writes really well. Prisma definitely better than Polychromos. You know, that's pretty uniform. So I think it's more the qualities of the Polychromos itself more than whether or not it can write on these. So I'm going to use these in the book, in the Lulu Mayo, and then I'm going to, in the next video, we're going to talk about, we're going to test the working time for these, like how, you know how we went and, let's see, we're going to try and lift. Like how long does it take? For them to dry before you can move it. Like, can I go back in now with our pen and make these move? So we're going to check on all of that, and I may combine it in with a technique video. We'll see how long the video goes, but we're going to look at each of them side by side to where you can see all of them at one glance. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one. Happy coloring. Okay, let's give everything a grade. So here's the Lyra. I actually like this palette. I think they did a very good job. And so we're going to give them a 5. How well do they dissolve? I thought the Lyra did a very good job of dissolving. I, so far, haven't had any problems with that. How did they layer? So this is our layering. It definitely wasn't the worst. And I do like that we got this nice orange color. You can definitely see the square. So we're gonna go with a 3 here. Lift, I thought they lifted just fine. Writing, looking at everything, I think writing did fine. Blending with each other, so this is this one. I think they did a pretty good job because it actually eliminated these colors here. So we'll give them a 4 there. Packaging, the Lyra is great packaging, comes in a nice tin, and I really like how the pen's crayons look. Distress crayons, I wanted to talk briefly about the palette. Okay, so here are the colors that I have. Now, this is my old distressed ink. I always call it distressed. Distress ink. And these are the colors of the ink. So like blueprint sketch right here is this color right here, is this color right here, is this color right here. You can see you get a very nice, like they match well, right? Here's wilted violet, wilted violet, wilted violet. Look how close they all are across all the different lines. In fact, if I covered these, would you even know that these are different mediums? Because the colors are very, very similar. The distressed oxides have a little bit, like if you look here at the pink raspberry, see how they're just ever so slightly brighter here? That is because the oxides have that quality to them. When they're activated, they become more opaque. But the colors are very, very similar, and I just think that they do a fantastic job, and they're still coming out with colors, which I also love. So I will probably work on getting the majority of those. In fact, I just ordered set number 5, and then I'll be down to some of the newer ones. So we'll see how that goes. But I just wanted to point that out. So as far as palette goes, I'm definitely going to give them a 5. I thought they dissolved very well. We had no harsh lines at all in any of our dissolvings here. So definitely a 5 there. Layering, you know, they did okay. Not fantastic, but they did okay. Even the Neocolor IIs have a little bit, so I don't feel... Oh, here's the Gelatos down here. You know, I feel like probably maybe a 3 to a 4. Lift, I thought they lifted just fine. Writing, I thought they did really well, actually. Maybe a 4 to a 5. Blending with each other, I thought they did well. Packaging, you know, I'm fine with the packaging. To me, packaging will get dinged if it isn't useful. Like if the box breaks, if the package sags and things fall out, that kind of stuff. As far as, you know, do I prefer them in a tin? Sure. But I'm not going to ding them for that. So I hope you're okay with that. And then, so the appearance of the actual distress was fine. It had all the information we needed on it. They don't have a number, but all of the names are the same across the lines, right? So I don't feel like it needs a number if every time picked raspberry looks like picked raspberry. So, just my personal opinion. You might disagree. I just want numbers when I'm looking at something like Phthalo Blue, and when I look at it in their other line, like Color Soft to Color Chroma Flow, totally random, ignore the actual, I'm just using an analogy. But if I'm looking at both of those and Phthalo Blue looks totally different, I want to know if it's the same number, right? So, anyway, moving on to Gelatos. I thought Gelatos, their palette to me is okay. I guess with 28, I'm not in love with it. I'm just going to be honest. I'm gonna give them a 3 for palette, because there's no rhyme and reason. When you get these kits, You get mixes of metallics, you get mixes of iridescent, you get mixes of brights and pastels. It's like if I want brights, I want to order brights. If I want pastels, I want to order pastels. Now, maybe this is a mix and match set. So, Wendy, are you being dumb? Potentially. Most likely. Maybe they do. All right, now I have to dig in and see. Okay, I was being an idiot. You can buy them in sets of brights. Did I even talk about price of gelatos? So brights, $26.75 for a set of 12. So that's $1.78 per crayon. Iridescents are $19.89. So those are cheaper right now. Metallics are $22.99, and the pastels are $27.19, bringing those to $1.81. So that's on Amazon. That's how you can get those. So I guess if you wanted just the pastels, you could do that. Okay, I'm going to compromise with myself. I'm going to say 4. I'm going to give them a 4 because to me, if I'm buying a set, I still want it to be helpful. I don't know. Do you ever have something that you just don't like how they do it, but you can't really fault them for it? That's kind of where I'm at right now. Do they dissolve? I thought gelatos dissolved well. I thought they dissolved very well. Did they layer? I'm going to say a 3 to a 4. Lift is a very good. Writing, I thought they did great. Did fine, 4 to 5. Blending, I think, well, I mean, we still have this line here, so I'm going to give them a 4. Packaging, maybe I should ding packaging instead of palettes, but packaging. I'm going to say 3 to 4. And the reason I say that is because I feel like the packaging has really went down. You get them in those little plastic acetate boxes. Are you really going to keep them in those? It's kind of a pain to pull that thing out. So I'm gonna ding them a little bit for that. The appearance, I'm also going to ding them a little bit for that, simply because they're not really written on the actual tube. They're written on the lid, and it's a sticker. And so I'm going to say 4 to 5 because some of them are different, and I feel like they have improved. Okay. Neocolor IIs. I love the palette. I felt they dissolved well. Layering. So that's this one. They're okay. I think they did better than some, but it wasn't perfect, so we'll say 3 to 4. Lifting, I thought they did fine. Writing, they did very well with writing. Blending, I thought they blend especially well. I'm going to give them a 5 on blending because look at where the blue and the green meet. There's no harsh line. You can't see like the blue or the pink, right? They just blended. They're definitely open stock. The packaging, they come in a tin, so I think packaging is great. I bought a lot of mine open stock, which is why I don't have a tin for them. If I had a tin, I might actually keep them in the tin instead of in the little case. But the tin I have is a smaller one, so that's not helpful. And I feel like they do a good job. No, I'm going to say 4 to 5 because I really don't like where they put the name, right? It's like in the middle. Like, what are you doing? Okay. So there's that. Thank you for watching another video from Jazzydoodledesigns. If you'd like even more Jazzydoodle and a little more snark, please check out the membership below. If you're looking for a community where you can share your work and chat with other fellow colorists in a safe and welcoming environment, hit the subscribe button to Jazzydoodledesigns and then look for Jazzydoodledesigns Coloring Community on Facebook. And there you can join a group of fellow colorists to talk all things coloring and share cute pet pictures. I hope to see you there, and until next time, happy coloring.